Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Juliette Smith. Today marks 25 years since the shooting at Thurston High School in Springfield. That day, a 15-year-old shooter killed 2 students and wounded 25 others after killing his parents the day before. In a special report, I spoke with someone who was a student at Thurston on the day of the shooting. There may be some video here that could be disturbing, so please watch at your own discretion. Before Uvalde, before Parkland, and even before Columbine, there was the shooting here at Thurston High School. I reached out to a dozen first responders and students who were present that day, who told me that they had tucked away those painful memories and didn't want to relive that traumatic day. But one former student who was at the shooting tells me how that day continues to affect her today.
Every year you kind of reflect. There's a reflection of it used to be like kind of going back and reliving it, but now I kind of reflect, where am I at today? How does it, how am I affected?
Elizabeth Harristad was 17 years old when the shooting broke out in the Thurston High School cafeteria. She remembers someone yelling at her to get down.
Nobody really knew what was going on. Didn't seem real. And I think like a lot of the students, shootings weren't a thing back then. So we didn't identify that, oh, this is shots being fired or anything like that. So just, it was election day and thought somebody was playing a prank and setting off firecrackers. Then I thought, oh, maybe it's a paintball gun going off, but it wasn't.
She ducked under the table and closed her eyes.
Your body goes into shock and you hear only the things that you need to hear. Like I heard the gunshots, I heard some people talking next to me, I had tunnel vision.
Harristad walked away without any physical injuries, but that day left an impact that lasted for years. When she became a mother, she says it forced her to start processing her trauma from the shooting.
It was when I was putting my own son in preschool.
What was that like to do that?
It brought up things that I realized I wasn't okay. I realized that I wasn't like most moms who were dropping their kids off and sad that, oh, my baby's grown up. For me, it was, literally staying there and waiting for them to lock the doors. Looking at the classroom to see how safe it is, if there's places for my kids to hide.
It was after that when she decided to seek counseling and got the closure that she needed. But she still has lingering trauma, including jumping at loud noises. She and another Thurston survivor volunteer at their children's school to feel like they have some way to protect their kids. Now, she says she's become numb to the thousands of shootings that have happened since '98.
A disturbing new report today about the mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas.
And we are coming on the air at this hour with news of a school shooting in South Florida.
New developments tonight involving the shooter at that Nashville school.
She recalls the shooter suffering from mental illness and wishes more children knew that it is okay to ask for help.
Violence does not make you a hero. Getting help and overcoming these things, that's what makes someone a hero.
Now, Elizabeth is a happy mother of 4 and owns a hair salon in Eugene. She wants people that have suffered from trauma to know that there is a future ahead of them. And Elizabeth has one final message of thanks.
If I could just say thank you to the police officers who showed up, to the paramedics, to the parents, the nurses and the doctors who were there, to the counselors and the people who brought their dogs and their cats to our classrooms in the weeks after the shooting. Just, all those people that poured into us students. Thank you.
In Springfield, I'm Juliette Smith.
We also spoke with one of the first responders who was there that day. Dennis Murphy is a former chief at the Springfield Fire Department.
But the shock value of having it happen in your own backyard is impossible to describe. It was one of those it'll never happen here moments for everybody in the community.
Murphy says the department gave everything it had that day. He believes some students survived because of the quick response. But 25 years later, some of the first responders still don't want to talk about the trauma they faced.
Incident after incident, the nation has learned that first responders are human and subject to human emotions. They kind of can them up so they can perform. And then when it's all over, the emotions and the memories and so forth flood in. Firefighters have a distinctly military type bravado that kind of like, oh, come on, get over it. Don't be a baby about it. That works against people accessing and admitting that they need help.
But Murphy says things have recently changed for the better. There are more opportunities for mental health resources and wellness checks in place for first responders. We also asked Murphy, how do we end gun violence like this in America? He says the U.S. needs to strengthen gun control laws.
Absolute gun safety would have stopped the majority of them.
Threat assessments that would stop mentally ill people from legally buying guns and banning military-style assault weapons. He also supports finding more secure ways to store ammunition and guns. Murphy also believes that parents should be held criminally responsible for allowing their kids to mishandle weapons. The day after the shooting, Murphy kickstarted the Ribbon of Promise campaign. The goal was to prevent school shootings by encouraging students to report suspicious activity. He believes speaking up is key to stopping school shootings. While the campaign only lasted 7 years due to lack of funding, he says the message is needed now more than ever before.
Tomorrow on NBC 16 Today.
Hi, I'm